What's up, internet? Welcome back. This is Linger22. This is the second episode of Sega Break. It's a show I plan on doing where I'm going to record throughout the month a bunch of Sega news topics, and then for the first Wednesday of every month, I will clump it together and make one show out of it. It's just a way to put all of my thoughts in terms of Sega together. Because, I like Sega. I'm a Sega fan, and I want to hear what other people have to say that are Sega fans as well. Now, in this episode, you'd think that I would have a topic, that being Sonic the movie, especially with all the reception it's getting, but I kind of want to wait on that. I want to wait till I can do a spoiler-full, or how do I say it, like an episode that's full of spoilers for that movie. I'd like to really talk about it because, come on, you gotta. But I'm going to hold off on that. All I'm going to say at this moment is I'm really glad to see that a lot of people are giving a positive response towards that movie. I did not expect that. When that movie first showed off in a trailer, I was like, even if they fix it with a redesign, I didn't think the story would be that good. Maybe it'd be mediocre. But it seems like it's actually something a lot of people like. But like I said, I'll talk about that. Maybe next time, we'll see. Now, a game I've been playing a lot lately is Puyo v Tetris. And actually, the Puyo 2 game is one of my topics today. And I gotta say, this version is like an amazing version. It's like a great version for Tetris and a great version for Puyo. So all I gotta say is check that game out because it's a great way as an introduction. If you like Tetris, check it out so that maybe you get an introduction to Puyo and vice versa. And one thing that I want to say before I get into this month's topics, I've been looking around. If you followed any of my videos, you probably know that I am really into the Raspberry Pi, and I want to make more Raspberry Pi projects and all that stuff. And a project actually caught my eye. It's a Dreamcast VMU, but they swapped out the guts for a Raspberry Pi Zero, and that looks super awesome to me. I so want to do that. So I've been brainstorming a concept where I go ahead and do that. I make this VMU portable console, and I think what I would do is instead of just dumping as many ROMs as I can onto this thing, I think I would just make this the Sega portable, at least of what the Raspberry Pi Zero can play up to. What I mean by that is I will probably put a bunch of SG-1000 games on there. I'll put a bunch of Master System games on there, Genesis games. Of course, Saturn's not going to work and Dreamcast is not going to work. I'll put some Game Boy Advance games that are all published by Sega, and Neo Geo Pocket games that are published by Sega, which the only one I know about is the Sonic Pocket game, which is actually really cool. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it's the Sonic game for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's surprisingly well. It reminds me of a precursor to the Game Boy Advance titles, but I'm not sure if it's by the same studio. I'd be interested to see that. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to start on that project, but if I do, I will let you guys know maybe next month's episode if I actually fully commit to it. So yeah, before I get into what topics I'm going to cover, I just want to remind you guys that these are discussion topics. So please, if you have any opinions about anything discussed here, subscribe. And if you want to check out my other videos, they are much shorter, but they talk about topics that are not Sega topics. Then subscribe and look around and see what you got. And please always comment, because I love to hear your guys' opinions. I love the feedback, and I love the discussions that are created. Even if it can be an argument, I hope it can be a respectful argument, because that's what makes this enjoyable. Because this is a hobby. I'm not really doing this for anything else, just because it's fun. So yeah, subscribe for more content. And these are this month's topics. Sonic 2020 announcements. Sonic at the Olympic Games for mobile. Space Channel 5 VR. The Sega Ages games. My reaction to a video Sega posted called Sonic 101. And let's be real, a fake Sonic leak. February 20th is the first example we get of the Sonic 2020 announcements. And the announcements we got were Sonic at the Olympics, the mobile version. Mario and Sonic at the Olympics is mentioned for the eShop. Mario and Sonic at the Olympics for arcade. Oh, I didn't even know that. That's actually pretty cool. And they showed a bit of the Sega Ages Sonic 2, and they showed off that Knuckles going to be playable. And then some other stuff, like a Japanese dub of the trailer, H&M clothing partnership, the Puma clothing partnership, Sonic Music Volume 1, showed off a plush, and it ended with some trivia. This is all bits smaller than many people were anticipating, so when the news dropped, everyone kind of was like, oh, this sucks. But it's okay, because I feel like this one was gonna set an example of like, hey, don't get so excited for big flashy news, because maybe most of them are just gonna be small little tidbits that only a Sega fan would care about. And if they do decide to drop big news on one of the 20th, nobody's gonna see it coming, and it's gonna be really exciting. Because let's be real, an announcement on the 20th of every month for an entire year, I don't think there's enough amazing Sonic news to fill that up. So I'm just hoping that at least one, two, or three of these announcements are gonna be mind-blowing and super exciting. That being said, I didn't know that there was actually gonna be a Mario and Sonic arcade. I know the last game had an arcade, so I'm interested to see that. My local arcade actually has this arcade in place, and I'd like to see if this arcade will end up there. Well, anyways, I'm curious. But that's the news that was announced on February 20th. Let's look forward to next month's announcements on the 20th. What do you guys think? What are you guys hoping for? Let me know down below. Sega's releasing a Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Wait a second. Actually, it's going to be a Sonic at the Olympic Games. I'm pretty sure the reason why Sega was not able to get Sonic to show up in this title is because it's a mobile game and Nintendo currently has their own mobile initiatives. They didn't really want to muddy the waters by having another company release a game with Mario in it and it being official. So it looks like Sega's going to do this one with only Sonic the Hedgehog, which I'm sure it's going to be pretty much fine because you don't really need both franchises. I mean, really, it's just a collection of mini games, and it's going to be for your mobile phone. There's a lot of games with mini games. But I want to see how this turns out. I want to see if this is fun, because the Switch version that recently came out, it wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty good if you compare it to a couple of the other Olympic games. Yeah, the reviews were kind of like mediocre at best. When comparing it to a few of the other entries in the past, it didn't seem too bad. So this one, I'm hoping it's going to be good. I want to give it a shot. It looks like you can already pre-download it until it releases, which is going to be on May 7th. So if you're into that franchise, go ahead and check it out. And let me know what you guys think. A VR from Sega is coming to the PlayStation VR, and that is Space Channel 5 VR. Kinda funky newsflash. It's interesting to see that Space Channel 5 is a franchise that Sega wants to put money right back into, because we haven't seen a game for over 18 years. Pretty crazy, right? Now, this was a franchise that was pretty popular on the Dreamcast, and I know there was a Game Boy Advance game, and there are probably some ports in between that. I've played a bit of this game, not too much, just enough just so I can see what all of the excitement for this game was back on the Dreamcast. And I gotta say, I don't see it as a bad game, but I can definitely see this as a game that's not for me. But I respect it, because, you know, there's a lot of games out there that are not games for me, and then there's a lot of games out there that I think are amazing, but are not popular to most people. So I can definitely understand. This game is being developed by Grounding Inc. That's the developer that's gonna put this game together. It's a VR game, and I think that's really smart of Sega to not only bring back and experiment with their franchises, but to experiment with their franchises in an area that's that could use some experimenting. In fact, I think Sega should take more of their franchises and have a team work on it in the VR space, just to have a couple of their intellectual properties within VR during the early stages. Because if VR does end up maturing, Sega will already have some VR classics. This game is going to come out in February 25th, and it's going to be at $39.99. Now, I said that this game's coming to PlayStation VR because it will be exclusive to that platform at launch, but they also plan to bring it to Viveport, Steam VR, and Oculus Quest. So if you have any of those platforms, you can definitely try it out. If you're excited for this game, let me know down below. If you're a big fan of this franchise, please let me know why, because I would like to know. Maybe I'm playing the game wrong. So yeah, if you have any opinions, leave it down below. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Puyo 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch on February 20th under the Sega Ages brand. And by the way, I gotta say, I love the name Sega Ages. The fact that Ages is Sega spelled backward, that blows my mind. I see it and it's just genius. But let's talk about the game. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is much like Sonic the Hedgehog 1, except you have spin dash and it's actually more fast paced. So if you think about it, the difference between Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is there's a little bit more platforming in it, and you cannot spin dash if you play the original one. Of course, if you played any of the modern versions, they always add spin dash and sometimes even add drop dash. I think the other Sega Ages, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 added that. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was always my favorite one growing up, and I understand it is easier than Sonic the Hedgehog 1. It at times it does feel like you're just holding right, but I don't know, I feel like it's balanced. There's a lot of spectacle, then there's a lot of platforming, there's a lot of, I don't want to say there's no dramatic stops, but there's slowdowns where you really gotta like navigate through the space and try to stay elevated through the level. If you fall down to the very bottom, that's where it gets a little more, as we get more enemies and you get more death drops. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is definitely a great game. If you played Sonic Mini and you haven't played the classics, it's definitely a game you gotta pick up. Puyo Puyo 2. Puyo Puyo is one of my favorite puzzle games, obviously before Tetris. Tetris is the great puzzle drop game, or whatever you want to call that genre. But Puyo Puyo is definitely a high contender. I really like Puyo Puyo. And the fact that Puyo Puyo Tetris came out, it's amazing. If you've played Puyo Puyo Tetris and you want to play a classic that's pretty much built the Puyo Puyo brand, then I would say play Puyo Puyo 2. Although I believe this game is in the Super Nintendo Switch Online app, or whatever you want to call that, except it's the Super Nintendo version. The version that they're releasing here is the Genesis version, and this is the Japanese version, because over in the States we got Dr. Robotnik Mean Bean Machine. It would have been cool if in this game you can switch between the two, because as I mentioned, they're essentially the same game just with different branding. Except I remember playing Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and it feels a little bit harder, and if you play the story mode or career mode or whatever you want to call it, you go through each enemy one by one, and in Puyo Puyo 2 it's more like an arcadey where it randomly chooses your next person, but then you beat enough of them in that first group and then you move to the second group and it randomly chooses the person you're going to go against. But the basic idea behind Puyo Puyo is you match 4 colors and then they pop, and when you do that, it'll send some garbage Puyo Puyo over to the other side, making it harder for them. If it reaches all the way to the very top, then you lose, basically. And of course, like other games in this genre, if you do combos, you will send even more garbage to the other side. So do the most combos that you can do, and you will be a winner much faster. Normally, I don't like multiplayer puzzle games like that, but I feel like this one takes the exception. This one and Meteos, those are the two puzzle dropping games that are multiplayer or competitive that I actually really enjoy. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like puzzle dropping games? Are you guys excited to play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 once again and have it on another device? Let me know your opinions down below. With the Sonic movie released in theaters, Sega decided to release a video called Sonic 101, which is actually kind of cool. I'll just touch on it briefly and just tell you that, guys, that it shows a lot of things. It pretty much shows everything that Sonic has went through, and the moment where they show Sonic 06, instead of kicking themselves over and over and over again like they have had done in the past, they've took a little joking in there where Sonic died and then for reals or something like that. It's pretty funny. I feel like this is a good watch for anyone who's followed Sonic over the years, kind of look back and see all the things that they've done. The one thing that I was really happy to see is they mentioned Chao's, and oh my god, I posted a video about this in the past. I want to see Chao's return. I don't care if it's the same way, I just hope that Tomodachi or Tomogachi, whatever you call it, style of gameplay is maintained with whichever way Sega decides to bring back Chao's. Chao's were an awesome thing. They weren't the reason why I like Sonic Adventure 2, but they definitely were an excuse to keep going back at the levels over and over and over again. I just really, really like the Chao's, and I think the Chao's would work in a day of smartphones. I don't want to make this all about Chao's because it's obviously about this video. I think this video is great for any kids watching and thinking, wow, I really like this Sonic character. I want to see what else he's got. And here you go, all this information. So it's really smart that they're posting this. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this video is a good representation of Sonic the Hedgehog, or do you guys think that this is kind of shallow and it should have more? Let me know down below. On Reddit, a supposed leak was posted. It was in the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, and you can take it for a grain of salt because I take pretty much every leak with a grain of salt. I'm only sharing this leak because I think it's fun to talk about leaks because it really shows what the crowd wants, especially if they're fake. It kind of just shows that, you know, if the same leaks keep posting and they're not credible, that while that doesn't mean that game's gonna come out, it shows what the fans actually want at times, or what people are anticipating. So maybe not necessarily what they want, but what they expect is gonna happen. So to me, it's fun to just dive into them and just to talk about the ones that may or may not happen. This one states that there's gonna be 2 Sonic games that are gonna come out. There's gonna be one called Sonic Redux with the subtitle Next Gen. Well, I mean, it's not gonna be called Next Gen, but that's the way they're phrasing it here. And this one is going to be, or it seems like it's going to be based on Sonic Advance 2. Now, what they don't really elaborate what that means, and that's part of the reason why I don't think it's real. I think maybe whoever posted this is probably nostalgic for Sonic Advance 2, and they're hoping for that kind of game. So that's why they kind of said it, because it just sounds a little too random for me. To describe how they describe it, they said it's going to be all about speed and momentum, much like Advance 2, but there's not going to be a boost. It's funny that they say that because in some sense, Sonic Advance 2 is the first introduction to boost. I just find that funny. There's going to be hub worlds, and they're going to be small and linear. They probably mean is like just a very small hub world where you can literally go to A and B. You don't have to there's no exploring and stuff like that. Each character will apparently have 3 skins. The Sonic, or I guess the Speed character, is going to be Sonic, Shadow the Hedgehog, Classic Sonic, and Espio the Chameleon. The Tails, I guess the flying character, will be Cream the Rabbit, Knights, and Boomtails. And Knuckles, I guess the Power character, will be Knuckles, Rouge of the Bats, Tickle, and Metal Knuckles from Sonic R. Immediately when I look at that, I think, okay, that just sounds like fan service, because why would they have Sonic Boom Tails in it? I'm pretty sure Sega wants to move away from any idea of that happening, and in order for them to bring it back just for nostalgic sake, I think that would have to be a decade from now in order for us to actually see that in game. I also wonder, does Sega even own the rights to the Boom designs? Does another company own them? I'm actually curious on that. Does Sega own the Boom design franchise 100%? Or as strange as it sounds, would they have to license those designs out? Now, game number 2 is going to be Blaze the Cat, and it's going to be a Nintendo Switch exclusive. The gameplay is going to be that of Sonic Colors, where it's mostly 2D and a bit of 3D. The man behind it is apparently going to be Taxman because Sega promoted him. I don't know if it's technically promotion if he was just a contract worker that worked on Sonic Mania. So wouldn't that mean that they hired him? A little curious about that. And development of that game started as soon as Sonic Mania Plus finished. By the way, the first game before it apparently started right after Sonic Forces. And at the very end, he says, or she says, let's not discriminate against gender. They said that there is no Sonic Adventure remake in the works because a lot of people have been rumoring that, hey, Sonic Adventure remake is going to happen. But once again, it's another leak that shoots that down. Of course, all the leaks that we have, if you put them together, none of them correlates. So only one of them can be real. Which leak is it? I'm going to put my money that none of them are. And after reading this, I just feel like this is someone posting more of like a dream of what they want. I can imagine that a portion of Sonic fans are looking at this idea and going, yeah, that's the game I want. And that's probably because there's a person in the world who put this together. There are 2 dream Sonic games, and they posted it, and you know, maybe it matches with a couple of people. One thing that I thought was interesting was that there's no boost game on here. So that tells me whoever wrote this up believes that Sonic should not continue the boost mechanic. Now, whether that's correct or wrong, looking through the comments, it looks like most people are happy that there is no boost. I have stated this in the past, but I really do like the boost mechanic. I just think it was horribly done in Sonic Forces. So I hope that does not ruin the reputation of the boost mechanic. But anyways, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this rumor? Do you guys think it's real or fake? Or do you guys think it is fun to talk about it, regardless of whether it's real or fake. Let me know down below. Well, that's it for the second episode of Sega Break. I'd like to do a lot more of these, so your feedback is always welcome so I can build upon this show and make it a much better show. If there's any topics that you guys think I left out, let me know down below. I think over time I will get better at accumulating Sega stories and applying it to the show. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you guys did enjoy, take some time to subscribe and check back soon because I will be back with more.